right now, there are people with talent, with potential, with purpose, but without the right skills, they stay stuck. At the Growth, powered by Donachie LLC, we change that. This is where literacy meets real life, where knowledge turns into confidence, and where skills become opportunities. We're not just talking about learning, we're building the foundation for independence, success, and a better future. This is The Growth. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to The Growth, another segment we have again. I'm glad to be here. We have Chesney, Mike, me, Don. Talk a little bit about, we just started back on some trainings that we do. We call them Skills and Success. We do for young youth 14 and up through Donachie. But like I said before, it's just one of those things where we just started to embark back on a new journey. And, I thought it was just good to talk about it a little bit because, I don't even think that us three know and really thought about how far we have came, when it comes to, starting the training and how the, trajectory of, Donachie has taken, and also molding young adults, young leaders is what we call them, through, a series of trainings and also by example and role modeling as well. And it's good to see. And like I said before, I just think talking a little bit about that, a little bit about some of the highlights of the classes that we had and, and to come as well, and some other Summit Collective, also some Summit Collective things we got going on as well. But, first and foremost, like I said before, we just started, like I said, last week, we started with financial literacy. And we ended up the week. Well, actually, we started with a college visit to Bluefield State. It was one of Bluefield State University. Was one of the first things we did on that Monday. And like I said before, and I know it's just like I said before, it feels like first day of school type of thing. Even though we don't try to exemplify school, because we try to make it like a school do their thing and they do a good job, but we try to make it fun. We try to make it interactive. That's one of the things that, that Mike does as well. Chesney helps as well. And I kind of sit around and look, but there's some things I wanted him to, mention here later about computer literacy that I think, is very innovative how he's done that, and made this very interactive when it comes to it, kind of molding all the things together that they learn. And I think, they come up and they even come out like, hey, I didn't know it was going to be like that. And that was a great thing as well. A lot of times also talk a little bit about the importance, when we talk about, why life skills and what are, they matter, why they matter is one of the things we need to talk about. And also, some youth programming, the youth learning, the engagement, the growth that they'll have. But, what's the one life skill that you wish you learned earlier? I asked both of you this. What's the one, one?
That's a good question. I think I'd give you two. I think just overall, like financial literacy for me is one, because there were certain things that I did get instilled in me, but if I had like the financial literacy that I have now, I can definitely look back and see where decisions that I made were wrong, and I definitely would have been different. I might have made the other decisions if I had that a little bit earlier. On the other side, digital organization. Because that's something that I never really got taught coming up. Like there was definitely like, okay, this is how you save a file and all that good stuff. But like how to actually fully keep my computer organized. Because I don't have to do as much on the paperwork side now, but at a certain point I did, and at that time I got jumbled at times a good bit, or even like on the college side, would get jumbled up, might struggle to find assignments or notes or something like that. Whereas now, like because I have to teach other individuals about it, like I made sure I took the time to get it right in myself, right. So those are definitely two for me.
And Chesney, what about yourself?
I would probably say like money management because I know how to manage my money now, but I wish I would have learned when I was like a little younger because it would have helped a whole lot now that I'm older. So I wish I would have learned that in my younger years, but I feel like money management is one.
The unique thing about having you on here is you actually went through some of these camps. Not last week, but you actually went through some of them.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about like finance or lit? Did you remember anything in those classes? Which Mikey probably taught.
Um, yeah, I remember the class. I can't remember like vividly
Right,
everything,
right, of
but
course.
I do remember being in that class, and I do remember learning different things because a lot of stuff that I know now is because of those classes. Stuff that I learned in those classes is I apply to my life now. So a lot of that stuff I didn't know before, but I use it now.
See, and I think that's paramount when you think about it. I mean, and think about being like you said. I mean, she was a little older when she got. Not mean this as far as being compared to, teenage years, but but think about it. We've had a lot 14-year-olds last week, in here and stuff like that. And just like I told you, just seeing them, man, it's just, I mean, it's a good thing, man. It is because, like I said before, just seeing them from Monday, like I told you, to go all the way to Friday, just to go through. Because you got to think that in my mind, you got to think there's no school. Right. So man, we chomping at the bit. We chomping at the that you just said it to get out and do other things. But then, I mean, and that's why I said, we have like a easel board and at the beginning, just let them see, what I mean, just giving them a new quote or whatever. They just don't know, man. You have to
leaders.
Exactly. You have to get up. You have to get up and get going, even though half the people probably back there asleep. It's just one of those things, you know what I mean? And it's okay because you can get a lot done when you get up and get going. And that's one of the things as far as, with financing as well. Having that, making those smart financial decisions is a big thing as well. It's one thing last week, since we kind of recapping it. I mean, I remember you were talking about, the needs and the wants, and getting them to understand that, and a lot of them, they don't right now. But they will.
Okay, you brought that up, and I'll say where doing what I do, I still try to learn from the individuals that I'm interacting with. And I had a quick moment with one individual when on the needs and wants section that opened my perspective up a little bit more than it was in the moment. We were talking about if certain things are needs versus wants. And so it went into the realm of like name brands and things like that, right? So, of course, up front, we'd be like, no, name brand, that's not a need, it's a want, compared to just having a shirt or, some underwear, whatever it might be, a need. But then this individual was like, well, not in all cases, because they was like, what about social standard for the place that you're at? And I was like, well, hold on now. They kind of opened, like it was real quick,
right?
But it was like, that's something that I really don't really take into account because what they said was like, in school, like where they're at, an individual might take the social aspect of like where they want, not necessarily being looked at as the cool kid, but might look at the way children think and say, I don't want to be the individual singled out because I'm wearing something different because it's so basic or something like that, right? So that kind of raised some things inside of me. It was like, okay, you might have opened me up a little bit more to a little bit more needs than wants.
So, and that's one of the things, when we talk about it, as far as with budgeting and also the needs and wants, it's like, making sure they understand, and some things that, how to save, what I mean? We talked about that as well. Also, kind of setting goals a little bit as well. I mean, but just to know these things, it was, during the class, we, do a game called Spent, and then you had added a couple more on there as well, but just trying to figure out, could they, manage this paycheck and be able to pay their rent at the end of the month? And it was like they were coming up with things that were kind of difficult. I mean,
a lot of them after the fact understood some of the decisions that parents might have to go through. Right. So I will say, if any of the students that was in them classes was watching this, Some of y'all broke your kids' piggy bank.
See,
Some of y'all
Let
didn't
they
pay
go.
for maybe mama's hospital bills, but then also when you needed help, went right back to her. Things like that.
yeah, and that's like you said that, it's like, coming, we, recently announced, kind of a partnership with Just a Bunch of Felons in order to teach financial literacy and, a couple other courses. But it just came to mind when you said that, just learning, right? And that being May, I think it's May 6th and 7th. I'll announce it at the end, but that's the thing. It's like to have, definitely have that foundation. Age, it doesn't matter. You need to learn these things. That's a big thing as well, and understanding that too. So I do remember, like I said, during the classes, because I'm here, and things like that. Definitely want to keep them engaged, like I said before, because like I told you, it's not so having that, you know this, having that knack to kind of, we got to get this information, out, but we also have to make sure they, it's relevant and they can be able to, kind of, put it into action as well.
Where they're at.
Right. A lot of it is as well. And not because there's bright ones in there, right? There's people, but you got to think. I like I said before, I just commend all the young leaders who came in and definitely worked during that week, because we did work. Let's get it right. We did work a lot during that week. But it's something that I'm glad also the parents, kind of opening up to, kind of letting them do these things as well. But don't go, any further than yourself too if they want the help as well. It's always good to get that help. But like I said, now embarking on this new one, I think when we talk about the growth, I know this is the name of the show, but when we talk about it, we have seen the first set of kids that we started working with now are in the workforce. Why do we know that? Because now that they can refine their skills in the training, it's not that we can't find them. I gotta work here. I'm working here. I'm over here work. I can. But some of them still came back last week, and came to some of the classes, even though, and then they had to, work the next day. But so it's still, still trying to refine and still trying to get the things that, they need. And it's always, we had been talking about before we even got in here, about, definitely upgrading and also, improving. On things. That's even with us. As far as different things, but I always get, just by talking a lot of times and, garnering relationships and stuff like that as well. You all, both of you just embarked on something. With the Ghetto Life down at Independence Middle School, right?
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing. But when I gave you the assignment, because I wasn't here in town, but I was like, well, you didn't really know what to expect, because I never have done it either. We're going down Trap Hill in May, but I had never done it either. But I guess you all did. Did you do something in the finance? So you both split.
We were an aspect. So I can't recall which one you did, but
I did groceries.
Okay, I was on the car insurance.
Okay.
And I really think that it's something that it's a great program. All kids need to do that, honestly, because it gives perspective. It opens their eyes a little bit more and kind of plants that seed of wanting to have success. It's not saying that they didn't want success before that, but like seeing what they have to do
in order to
because like the first round, like basically what it is where they got to go through and pick all aspects of life. They get a job and then they got to pick a house, car, insurance, groceries, like gas. Oh, that's what I did actually. I did gas. You got to pick everything out, First round, a lot of the kids are going to be in debt, and then it makes them understand, like, okay, some of the stuff that I picked out right here, like, ain't crazy. I've just picked some of the stuff that my parents got, but the job that I had wasn't enough to sustain all that. So it just gives them that little bit in the beginning, like, okay, I realize, like, if I want certain things in life, if I want to achieve certain things, I gotta work so hard to get there. And I'm just having that little understanding. Like a lot of the kids that I seen walked out of the room like, of course, smiles on their faces and all that because it was an activity, but they had papers in hand looking through too, like talking with their friends. Hey, I'm gonna have to, talking about trade schools, or I'm gonna have to go to 8 years of college to get what I want. But just having that type of conversation with your friends in school, like I know I wasn't having them conversations,
See, but I think, you saying that, but then that's that's the afternoon or the morning that they spent with you all 3 hours or whatever. But that's why this is so important as well, because now you can also get get even more instruction. So I wonder, I'm just saying that doesn't have to be Donahue's class or like that, but just actually going through a financial lit class, and then how much would it be for them to then go through to get a life thing and do it as well. Because I mean, like I said before, I wasn't as familiar with it before, but like I said before, you all came back and said it was a good time. And that's I think, but having programs like it, and we always want to. I mean, we always want to say, school, they ain't learn nothing. They are, but they have a mandate what they have to go through too. I mean, what they have to learn, and they have to hit these benchmarks. But what about us? What about us? We have to, do something on our end as well. So guess what? So now I'm not saying so much, oh, the parents, y'all should do it. Because, really, when you really think about it, when you go over these things, why it matters, and the first place they're going to see it is at home. A lot of times, and that's not to knock, the parent or anything like that, but that's the first place they're gonna see these things. And when it comes to it, they're, a lot of times and it is a two-way street when you think of it. Because the parents are watching the kids are watching the parents, they watching everything they do. They watching everything, right? But they also have to have their own responsibility as well. That's the growth of it too. It's one of those things as well. So but you know how it is. Your example is louder than your words. That's just a lot of times what you see, and it is. We say it here, at the office a lot as well. There's a lot of people that come in here, and I know. Like I said before, I know, but they seeing us in a light that we don't even. We just because we see each other all the time, but they don't see it like that. This is still an office, and they think that they can do that in the office, and stuff like that. So we just have to be constantly reminded of it, those things as well. But you're not too young to start building your future, though. You're never too young to do that. And I think that's a lot of what they're doing as well. And so when the kids ask, or the parents ask, we don't want to wish we would have learned something any earlier. But it was end of the day, we were sitting at the table where the kids were sitting, and we left a notepad or whatever, and one of the kids, had wrote several notes on that notepad. And when I look back, that's the one was answering all the questions. It really was. But so one would say, "My dad, she was she smart?" But my thing was she is smart, but she also smart enough to write the stuff down as well. But when she was answering it, when I was watching her answer, she wasn't going back to it. But it's just that memorization of just kind of write something down, and then it sticks, whatever, and that's the thing. Because I think everybody, and I think that's a lost art, taking notes. Maybe it's one of the things where and that it's not a school thing again, but it's one of those things about taking notes. I wasn't all that good in school, but I was good at taking notes because I could skip over some certain words. I ain't gonna say all of them, but certain words, because I had to get to the meat, and I could put that down. And say, because you sitting there writing this, trying to get these words, spelled right. It didn't work, but I could get the meat of it. And I think then go back and look, and that's one thing about taking notes is a big thing. I think we have a class, or we had one. What was it? Life ready skills. Yeah. Where it was note taking, right? It was in it as well. We still can do it through life school, but that's still one of the things that it talked about note taking. Yeah. And that was a big, but that's a lost art, right? Because it's a lost art. It really is. Now you can just record.
They got a lot of different apps and things like that, or websites and stuff that can record the notes. You can structure them exactly how it needs to be.
So using the technology, and we talk about
it's kind of like chat, where they kind of say like individuals like brain power, if you will, processing power, like smartness, if you will, is going down to an extent because people are so quick to use an AI to get an answer instead of searching it up or having to have the knowledge like it once was at a certain time.
And I could go both ways with that, because I could also, you can delve deeper into it too, though, as well. You can do exactly what you said if you want that direct one right then. But what if you look back into it a little bit? Like I said, with some of those words I told you, I jotted a few words down. Man, I ain't know what these things meant. Let's go look and see. And then it goes that to that to that. And you just go down. I don't know if it's a good rabbit hole, but you go down a rabbit hole. Right. And you you start to learn a lot of different things about what that subject was or what that topic was. And I think, that's the key. Now, like I said before, I think a lot of it is an unfamiliarity with, the chat and the AI as well. Because you hear a lot of different things people say, oh, it's this and that, it's bad.
There's something every day.
You hear something every day. I think it's a tool that you can use. It's a tool. Just like anything, the other thing, books are tools as well, right? So but you have to equip yourself with, with what works better for you when it comes to that as well. But it does some of it does kind of the thinking part possibly. But then again, if I'm hung on this one topic and I can't even get past that, I get tired. I get tired, and then but guess what? I just told you that, that thing, that word just to get to another word, but you still hung on that word though. So you ain't even listening to what the meat of it, what I was going to talk about. You still, and that's, I think it does help a little bit.
So I remember, I think we talked about this in a live one point where I was like, on the AI side, that's kind of like, in your time, like the calculator, you can be sitting there doing your math problems, or you can type in some numbers and turn around to see what it say, a distraction.
Right.
In that same instance, just a lot more variables to it.
And that's it. Like I said, it was a gentleman, worked for us. He was doing some stuff on Excel, he was putting and he put the formula in to get the Excel. I don't know. I know a little bit about it, but I just, I don't. But then he was showing, I'm sitting there looking like, he's showing me the formula to get to where he got to or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's good. But it's more or less like, and I feel, because I was a lot, into computers a lot, long time ago. But now, since like I said before, I just kind of like a car. Is it gonna turn on? Am I hit the button or I'm gonna turn the key and that's it? I ain't, because and it's one of those things you have to slow down. And then a lot of times that's the thing. Mistakes happen when we don't slow down. Or we try to, comb over some information that's being taught to us. And that's why I said with life skills, because even when we do it on a one-on-one basis, because sometimes when you do it in a group, things get kind of lost in translation when it comes to it, but not when you are doing it one-on-one. That's one of the things, I think is good. And that's why, even during the classes, one-on-one as far as just, giving them a little instruction when it comes to that, but when the environment, what I start to see when the environment is relaxed, they're more prone to want to go ahead and receive that help. That doesn't mean, because like I said, I haven't seen a lot of other people's classes. So I'm not saying trying to rate this class against that class, but I just think if you keep them engaged and also be willing to help them, they're more willing to say, hey, listen, hey, I don't know what this is, or hey, and somebody should go. And it wasn't only me. Jesse was here to help them, but there was other people here too. They were jumping in and helping as well.
I think it's subtle things too, like kind of you said before, like it's not school. Almost every class, like I make a point to do this, where if there's going to be one person, the first person every time that's going to ask, can I go to the bathroom? It happens every time. And I use it as a point to kind of like bring nerves down a little bit, right? It's just, this ain't school. Like if you got to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. I'm not going to ask you to the bathroom.
Right.
And I say it the exact same way every time. And it's not like you see them get more relaxed or anything like that, but just that little bit of freedom.
And I do think you talk about class, we call it training now. We call it training now, programs. But the reason why I say that, because I think a lot of times maybe they're trained that way. Here we are. And it's also, that's why I think you got to break the ice as far as what's called an icebreaker. We use something fun, icebreaker. And like I told you, these are vital skills you need to know. I definitely know that the subject in school, you need to know that as well. So, but it has to be a even balance. I think is a good way to look at it. And I think that's, like I said before, getting them back in here, you can start to see it mold a little bit as well. And like I said before, I'm not saying that they're not, but one of the things, a parent can do, to help, is, have the kids, help when the time is, help, pay a bill. Help them learn how to pay it. I ain't think they got to pay it, but learn learn how to pay, help pay the bill or write down a grocery list. There's several times we had, not us, but I think the kids have participated in grocery classes, and we still could do that as well, but not just be going out teaching as well. Practicing good conversation, real conversations are eye contact, respect, things of that nature as well. And then kind of set some daily routines as well. This is a lot of what we do when it comes to the things that we do, they can apply to home as well. I think a lot of times, this is, one of the things we speak about as well. But like I told you, in the growth, that's what we talk about, a lot about literacy, a lot about life skills as well. The literacy part I'll touch on real quick. That's the thing that kind of hits kind of hard, because I know that there's a lot of kids out here struggling, with reading, and I feel bad for them. I really do.
An increased amount of individuals graduating without a high school level reading.
Right. So, and that's so when you say that, and I see the kids, but I'll talk about it later, but I'm gonna tell you something that went on through me in a good way. And that's about, we can talk about it now, but about the computer lit, because that was the next part. So we went from financial literacy, and then we rolled into computer lit at the latter of the week. Like I said, something that, oh, they know what they're doing. They know all about it, but they really don't. And it's just one of those things. They know how to turn it on and navigate a little bit, but, really wanting to learn, because these are college things that they don't have to do as well in college. As well.
Kind of like as I said, you asked me one life skill I wish I had was digital filing, organization. That's something that's very big in there, because they start to get in the mix. They think they know all they know about computers, but then, all right, create this folder, all right, organize this in a certain way. And it's
right.
Like, oh no, how do I make a folder?
Right, even in them colleges, in order for your finances.
Yeah.
To kind of, separate those as well. So it went hand in hand, and like I said before, that is one that, that like I said, we came up with it, but you revamped it. You another individual kind of revamped a little bit of it. Not a little bit, a lot of it, to where it was kind of, because the one was, we talking about basic, it was basic. And we just knew, and it wasn't nothing wrong with it, but we just knew, it had to be some kind of sprinkled in there. Because I think a lot of times, like I said before, the teaching style we use is a little different than most. But it's one of those things where, you have to read the room, and read your audience as well. We've had a lot of individuals before, but it never felt like they were, do you think so? Like, even though we had a lot at that time, it never felt like you were, only the biggest people beside the kind of at the tables to help as well, for that support. I think that was a good thing as well.
Some of them no choice.
And that's it. But that's the thing. Yeah. Even that though, when you talking about, so you're talking about behaviorally right now. Well, here's the thing. When you say that, and we look back a little bit at it, I still didn't see too many instances. And what happened, but I think the good thing was, we kind of started with some individuals who had some behavioral issues, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to learn. No, I tell you that all the time. I would never think that it would get to where to where now, even kind of the teaching and preciseness that you all use. But
talk about growth.
That is. No, it is. It's like, but we started with like I said before, some kids that had some behavioral issues, but the alternative way we were teaching, little did we know this could go on through. And then others, we taught college students and all these other, individuals we taught, even adults we've taught, computer lit, and that's one of those things where, just getting it down, it was somebody in here yesterday came in here to check his email. There's different things like that, as far as, and that's all, but one thing I will say about that gentleman, right? It used to be we checked for him, if you understand what I'm saying, on the computer, but now he does it. We sit beside him, but then he does it though. But like I said before, he pecks at it a little bit, but it's just one of those things. And I think, the more, we can get into that. That's why I said, I don't think we even know sometimes. I mean, some of the things that go on, we've done it so much now, it's normal, but some of the things aren't really normal if you look back at it, as far as, teaching others and stuff like that as well.
You pointed that out to me at a certain point, specifically with computer literacy, because it was something that I didn't have in the slides or anything like that. I think I just randomly mentioned it because I seen somebody scrolling one time, and then after that, he was like, "No, you got to put that in there every single time, just on a laptop touchpad, 2 fingers to scroll." It's something that on my side I don't find too crazy because it's just always how I scroll. But some other individual, that's the miraculous thing that there is.
I just
makes life crazy easy.
It's on my iPad. My son, he take a lot of pictures. That's within a lot of videos, and I got to kind of erase them when he gets to. But then, but I had to look because I'm like, man, I ain't doing it. Tapping it, but then you can just break your finger across it and get a whole row. I'm like, oh man, it's good stuff here. But that's the thing. Just these little, tricks of the trade. It does help, and then for them to learn these things is a good thing as well. One of the things I will say, super like I said, for that one, of course, like I said, when we talk about computers, it kind of can start out a little slow. Now, that has nothing to do with him, but it's just what you gotta learn the basic things. Let's get that right. You gotta learn the equipment first, a little bit about it. That's it, and then we go from there to learn about the different things as well. Internet safety is a big one. Yeah, it's a very big one. I think
cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's a very big one because it just comes. When you think your computer running good and then it ain't running good. Something happened to you, hit a keystroke here or something like that, went to a website or whatever, and then you got to be. That's the sad thing about it. You would think you were going to look at all these inappropriate websites, but you're not. But this thing, people got just as much time as we trying to prepare. Trying to teach the youth or adults or whoever, teach them. Learning some good habits about these things. It's just that many people out there, their job to do the other side of it. Is trying to scam people and I'll hit this keystroke here. It was a thing. On the phone, we're talking about the tolls and stuff like that. Now think about it, they got a thing out there. That's not how they send them. They had to send out. They had to send out a thing. They had to send out some information about the fact. Don't hit that because that's not
right.
Us. That's the
They won't text you or whatever.
But that's what I'm saying. They spend that much time. That's why, that's the thing. The mind capable of learning positive things, but you spend time learning negative things and trying to, abuse people in the same sense or manipulate people and deceive people. That's that's a story for another day.
Which is going back to meeting people where you're at. The levels in which we talk about that is different. Depending on the crowd that's in the class. For a group of older adults, which I've had to do at times, we don't talk about that a lot. We don't talk about all the different types of hacks that there possibly can be out there and all that stuff because they're the individuals most likely to get got.
You're right. When you mean, I just, I just say it, like I said,
Chesney probably look at an email and get you and be like, what?
I too, I know a lot about computers, right? But it's one of those things kind of like basketball. I know how to play basketball too, but when you don't play as much, right? Sometimes it leaves you a little bit of it, have to get catch back up. But, I just was saying about determination, sometimes I was doing things I wasn't supposed to do on the computer. I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? I'm just going to tell you that. But you never know. What I mean by that is you never know the lengths that you would go in order to learn something if you want to learn it, right? Even if it is something you're supposed to be doing, right? And that's it, the computer is the same way. So the things I know now, it reminds me of the things because that's how I learned. I didn't learn about you coming into a computer lit class and saying this and that. You know what I mean? I'm learning another way, and it's just me, like I said before. But I'm glad that that's over with, and I can do it this way, and help, on this side because they're applying for jobs, creating a resume, which you get into in another class, but just still getting this stuff because now that's what it is now. Let's get it right. You got to apply online. If you don't know how to really control the computer, you're gonna have some problems.
Very technological business world. are in and moving more into.
Right, because I mean, when you talk about it, applications and stuff like that, you feel like, well, where's that? Where's that at? You know what I mean? You got some paper, you're not doing that anymore. I mean, they do. I mean, I'm not saying they don't, but a lot of times,
Mom and pop maybe,
right?
Not as much as your main chain. They ain't going for it.
And that's the thing. So one of the things, my biggest thing, and I'm glad we had a computer class because I forgot. It's been a while since we had one, so I forgot the most, the most exciting thing that I thought that you put in there. I don't know if it was only you that did that.
No, it was a combination of me and Mr. Marcus.
Okay. I mean, yeah, give him his props, but I've never. I mean, I don't even know where it came from. Really.
And we just business minded individuals at times. So the activity in there, we call it our tech startup activity. Kind of basis that we kind of use to like just think it up as like Shark Tank, if you will. Like all these people are coming in to pitch an idea. In the activity, they got to make a tech startup idea, and we make them pitch the idea. But because it's a computer literacy, you got to tie all those different skills together. So they have to make a presentation where they have to have different requirements in there, like pictures and animations and transitions in there, stuff like that. They gotta have different aspects of the tech startup itself. Like each person in the group has to have a title. They have to have the actual idea. The startup has to solve a problem. So we've came into a lot of interesting ones.
It blows me away. I mean, to me, I mean, like I said, those are the things that get me because then you start to see, because kids, like I said, they start to work on it, right? And then they like, oh man, what's this? And they not that they just, but now it's kind of long. Now the class has kind of gotten long, so they kind of on the other end of, kind of ready to check out, and because they don't really, I mean, they're doing it, but they don't even, they're doing it, whatever. They trying to, and they don't really, know that now we're getting ready to, to present this in front of everyone. And boy, that's when it come out.
They get competitive.
Yeah, I've done that one that he said before whenever I was in the camps and stuff with other people, and we did like a really good one. Like we were talking about making a device about like that you can access anywhere, and it's for like medical issues. That's what we did.
I remember that one.
Some other ones I can think of off the top of my head was just like one machine that's a washer, dryer, folding machine. That group could have made some money. We've had like hologram stuff to help with different trainings. We have different drone businesses to help deliver different supplies around Appalachia. Do you think of any?
Well, not in the past.
Spray on shoes. They got that from the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But then they also had, I can remember a group had like a spray that replicated food. There was a microwave that like once you warm something up in there, it could replicate that and make the food again too. So some of them got a little out there. My only requirement was it just had to be technology based in some way. Didn't matter what way to me, so it let them create.
See, and I think that's what I liked about it, because even there, I mean, even last week when we, I never really got it until the end, but it was one that they called digital track. And it was, and the premise of it didn't seem, but I mean, because I think a lot of the difficulty is the presentation, right? I mean, a lot of them haven't presented a lot.
Most of them got their idea
right. But I tell you, in that, I'm gonna tell you something. In that, it really got me. Not the digital track. I'll talk about that in a second. But it was one, and it wasn't even the fact of it wasn't even what they were talking about, but they were partners, right? Mm-hmm. And one, you could tell struggle with reading, right? But instead of just speaking it, the one that could, that didn't have the trouble, still leaned on the other one. Not to embarrass, but then also to walk through. Not so much so to where they were hanging on every word to make sure that stuff ain't going to come in. You know what I mean? That's not going to come. But that we're not even teaching that. We didn't teach that part. That's exactly what it is to me. And I always remember that because, I mean, like I said, it takes that because people do struggle. You know what I mean? That's why, I mean, just talk a little bit about, the literacy that I would love to see, us, kind of increase that. And I know, I mean, whatever way we can do it, I always, look for other ways. Because I don't always know, but I know there is you know, being anonymous is one thing. People don't, but they may be anonymous, but I used to have trouble reading. I mean, a lot of the times, and a lot of mine was, like I said before, the word skipping. But in my own mind, I know I didn't make the word go from here to here. I mean, that's my mind doing that. It's not me doing that, right? But I can't tell you that, because then when you start, look, he can't even read, I guess, So I always say that too, because it's terrible, man. Like, even now, like, if you show me a meme or something like that, so you could show it to me. Well, I'm looking through that meme, and I'm not even reading it. I'm just reading you. Mm-hmm. So if you laugh and stick a little bit, I'll wait a second, because I know the pause, and then I'll do it. But then I'll remember and look back again, and I can look at it later. But I don't have time. The words are flipping all over the place, and I don't know how. I know how quick I should be reading it. And when I don't read it, I think, what's wrong with that, man? You got the joke over now. You laughing at me, or whatever. But you just don't want that. And like I said, I just like, the fact that, this individual, they, really helped along. And I think that goes away. But I think on both ends, a lot of courage, to know that I'm having this. But
and that individual too, you can see how comfortable they were after the fact.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even like it wasn't. I mean, because to me, they had some more words. I mean, that's what I said when we talked about the question and answer. I was like, where'd y'all come up with them words from? Because they were hard. You know what I mean? To get hung up on, and that's the thing. You just never know when you get up there and, and present. But when it goes back to the digital track, like I was saying before, I just didn't know what they were meaning, but I did at the end that it was a hurdle that folded itself up. You know what I mean? And because of, the track and the heaviness.
The problem was the slow track meets the time.
Right. Right. So, and I get it, and I do get it. I mean, I mean, but that's the thing. But really thinking outside the box, it was a good one. They didn't, actually win, but they wanted to know why. But it was one of those things. But somebody else had won. But I think a lot of times, the information that they give is when it's descriptive and it seems well thought out. That's a good thing as well. Not saying that the digital track wasn't, really, but who knows, what may go on later on in life, and somebody, comes up with something like that. Because now you're talking about inventing something, which has
another aspect of that I like is kind of like just the activity in itself. And it kind of happens the same way in most cases, where it's like, okay, beforehand, giving them all the information. It's like 3 separate slides. 2 of the slides got words top to bottom. Okay. But it's just saying all the rules and all that behind it. So they see that up front. And it's like, oh my gosh. Like, even in the last one, they started associating, you won't give us a project like school? I thought this was a school, Mike. Stuff like that. They see how big of a project it is, and they start to but then they start to do it. Right. And then they come up with a creative idea. And then they come up with a presentation that they're making on their own. Towards the middle of it, I don't got to give them no motivation towards completing it or anything like that.
I mean, you're right.
Or even like
now you said that
time limit. Sometimes I joke around, and it don't really be the correct time. They might have 30 minutes left, and I'll be like, 7 minutes. And then you see the panic, and I ain't gonna be able to finish. Just like this shift, because they're making something that is theirs.
Right. And I think so. This goes far beyond what we, I know we're talking about computer lit, financial lit, different life skills, but it goes beyond that. When we think about, just the things that they're learning, in the classroom that I would say the teacher's experience as well, probably more on a larger scale, because they said a whole lot of students, and that's the thing. So, and I appreciate the teachers. I really do. And I know, like I said, for me, but that's how it is. If you get a bad one out of the bunch, that's all we gonna focus on is that bad one. But I'm not about that. I commend the teachers for the job they do. I really do. There's some tough kids now. It really is with some of the things, I guess we can say it. Autism's on the rise. A lot. So it's a lot of things, they deal with as well. But like I said, I commend them as well. Because that's, a lot of times, we're kind of, bridging that gap in between as far as some of the life skills that we can teach Not saying that they're not learning them at home too, and that's another thing too. You know, the big picture is, you know, we have to build confidence, you know, in our youth in order to make better decisions, you know, and handle real life situations. That's why, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of the way I always, it's people's reactions what kind of I react on. Like, so when when you three went to, you know, get a life, but your reaction back was very positive about it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. So it's like, you know, these are things in life we, you know, sometimes replicate them is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's a good thing. You know what I mean? To pass along some good, you know, information. I mean, we in the life skill business. I mean, that's what we do. But then again, I mean, like I said,
people.
right. I mean, that's just the thing. But you know, anything. We were just learning about another. We was to learn about another divine learning, I think it was called. I mean, let's learn about it. So just learn about different ones. I mean, and the more we're in that realm, the better. Just to get bigger when it comes to that as well. That's what I like. I mean, really, I do. That's why I wanted to be kind of talk about it today, because I mean, it's like, you know, do we ever get to, that's, you know, decompressing basically what it is. I mean, I don't know if you really need to decompress after. It was just different because we hadn't done it in a while. So right. to go a week is, you know, it was a while. But, you know, I mean, like I said, for at the end, you saw, I mean, like I said, for them still being engaged and things like that, for things to come. Because there are other, you know, kind of tougher life skill things that we teach, you know, intro to self-advocacy. You know, and me and you, we wrestle around with that one.
Even some of it gets even farther. Like, we're speaking strictly life skills. Like, I mean, I take people to get IDs. We apply for Medicaid. You know, we work on stuff in the house. You know, I didn't show people how to flush toilets.
That's what I said. I just don't think they know. And the other side, like I said, I worked for Rescue for 8 years. I worked for Preston Ridge for 20 years. I mean, 12 years, 20 altogether for those. But just to think, you know, I mean, to be on this side of it, you know how great it is. Because I mean, it's actually, you know, they're volunteering to come in to actually, you know, I mean, get better at things as well. Like I said, I would have loved to do it. I mean, when I was younger, I would have.
I really tell them that. Like I really do.
I mean, so it don't even seem like, to me, sometimes it don't even seem like a job. You know what I mean? And I told you this, I mean, you know, about age. I'm not saying it matters, because somebody told me the other day that it really don't, as long as you're engaging. It is true, but it still can't beat that, seeing that person that looks kind of around your age or whatever, you know what I mean, and doing these things, you know what I mean? That's the thing. That's when I see you teach, you know what I mean, and I see a couple other people teach, I see that as well. That's not something that, you know, and I'm, like I said, the teachers are great, don't get me wrong, but you know, that's not something you should ever take for granted. Those are things that it's an innate thing, I mean, like a skill that, you know what I mean, that you would have. And these are from kids that don't even like school. Not the kids that were in here, but I just know certain kids, what they said to me, you know what I mean? What they said to me is those things. So, and that, you know, like I said, I commend you for that. I mean, because I think that's, you know, a part of it as well. Is having that knack, you know what I mean? And every day, I mean, you got to think. I mean, we go through things too. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? We go through things, so it's not like, you know, you have to put your best foot forward, and you know, and teach and be able to shape, right, and mold, you know, the youth of the future. And that's, you know, something that we should never take lightly. And that's one of the things that we speak about as well. But
before we started, you know, whenever I was first having conversations with you, and you were kind of telling me the things that I've been getting into and all that. First of all, I was kind of a nervous wreck. You know, it's a good bit to get me a little bit nervous. But I was sitting there, and beforehand, I was sitting there thinking, like, okay, I need to practice, like, on my talking and stuff like that, because I couldn't talk like this. I even, at the time, I still might have had this slight little stutter, which I still stutter every now and then, but not as much.
Right.
I thought back to, like, what type of instructor I would like to be, you know, and I think I've kind of, like, got close to that realm that I'd like to be in. In high school, I had a teacher named Mr. Rivard. All right, he was my business teacher. And he was just a cool guy. He got everything, all the information that you needed to get across,
Right.
but he sit there and crack jokes with you too, and
Yeah.
I mean, that was actually in school. So I definitely didn't have another teacher like that, and I mean, he was the type, like, one thing I will always remember, it was one student who liked to crack jokes on him. And he was like, "Oh, that's what we gonna do?" And he started calling him Pookie from New Jack City. Which, like, you ain't gonna get that from a teacher. But because that interaction, and he'd do that, like, even students who weren't the best students were more willing to learn and more willing to sit inside of the classroom. And I, like, in the beginning, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Is just think how Mr. Rivard would teach. At certain moments, certain individuals in some of the camps or trainings,
Right.
we might start cracking jokes on each other, but it's always in a comical round.
Right.
We'll bring it right back.
While you said that,
you said different type of training.
I don't know if you remember this, but while you said that, I remember we did have someone that we had when they were 14. Now they're 17, and they were kind of leading the training. I mean, as far as with the interaction, and that wasn't the way it was before. I mean, they were more helpful when I look back. I was like, man, that's but that's the growth. I mean, and then I talked to them about it a couple of days later after that. But I mean, that is growth. I mean, willing enough to speak up and talk a little bit about it and understanding those things, because sometimes and I didn't look at it this way until it was brought up to me. Sometimes growing up isn't just about age; it's about readiness. Being ready. Being ready, having these skills, already done, or knowing a lot about these skills, so it makes fewer mistakes. I mean, in the back end of that, I think that's a lot of times what we're doing now, or trying to help as well. I mean, but it's other people too that do it as well. I mean, and they're learning as well. And I think it's one thing you said. When I first hired, we talked. You go into class, but I said you don't have to do anything. Just sit there and watch. We were in the infant stages of doing it as well, so it wasn't like so it was kind of one of those good things as well. We don't give me
attentively.
Exactly.
And I went back after that, and I had some time in front of the bathroom mirror. I have me a good amount of time before and after class. Just get prepared.
You say that, but I mean that's what you mean as far as officiating. It's the same. I mean, not the same, but that's what we do. I mean, you have to practice these things and whatever you have to, and come up with some new innovative ways in order to do things as well. Now, and I say that as well. But nothing I know people don't want to hear this, but nothing beats practice. It doesn't. I mean, because like even when we just ran through what we did, before, nothing beats practice. You know what I mean? It doesn't. And that's why I said, even now, we were talking to a gentleman before we came on, but we have sat in here and we've shot a lot of shows. That's practice. I mean, regardless of what we think, that's practice. Because we just came in there. I told you a little bit about it, but it's still to the script. We always, we still talk about it, but we don't, sit there, stew on it or nothing like that.
I said in the beginning, we came here trying to have a full set.
It was. I mean, it was. And I say, I'll say this too while we, get ready to wrap up. And I say it a lot. I mean, we want guests to come in, right? We do, but sometimes, what has to happen is we have to rely on, the product ourselves, right? And the process that we've made, and that's what we've done now. Just to talk about the things that we, of course, like I said, we want to have new blood in here, right? Of course, to talk a little bit about what they do and celebrate them as well. But we also need to, kind of speak about the things that we have done. That's why I did recapping what have we done, and also let people know that it's room to grow. I mean, we talk about growth. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it is. I mean, even the set look. The growth. And there's wasn't wrong with the last one we had in the backdrop, but this is just a little different. That's all. And we keep on doing it. We had a gentleman in here yesterday learning, but sometimes I think we could we could do too much. I mean, we have the set, but maybe we need to work to the set, right? In order to get in, come in and talk about some things as well, because there's some things that are distracting to certain people as well, especially in the work set. We know that because we have a phone policy here anyway. I mean, only because it just takes so much away from what you're doing as well. I mean, like I said, nobody said not to be on it, but you know, when you get on the whole lot, people just don't know that because they stuck to their phone, man. You know,
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of times.
that's something to be a little bit worried about. You know, we got a lot of tablet kids coming up. You know, that's going to change. Tablet kids, you got a lot of time.
Which through the life or through some of the catalog we have what's called mobile learning as well, that we've done a few times as well. So I mean, and that really means you have to brush off the dust a little bit, but that's and plus change a little bit too. I mean, we have great curriculums. Don't get me wrong, but they're only as great as the ones that are updated. Let's get it right, because I mean that. You always need to have. I talked to Jesse about this as well. You always want to have some evidence-based things, or some things, some groundwork to even your show, right? So, even your show, just have some evidence-based things that you definitely stand on, basically, and then you go from there. But that's one of the things. So the curriculum is great, and we can stick to it. Now we got to kind of mix it up a little bit, like we had talked. I mean, we had talked about when we talked about ISA when we did it a long time ago. The first run through was like, it wasn't, you did it with precision, but it was the information. But in order to get it to stick, we got to kind of mix it up a little bit, and that's a lot of time, what we came up with. But I appreciate your time. Over you sitting down talking about this. I mean, like I said, for hopefully, like I said, more classes, more things. This wouldn't happen without the help of the West Virginia Division of Rehabilitation Services, right? So, I mean, and they have one in every part of the state. It's a great thing. Like I said, a great group of counselors that come up with a lot of good things for the kids, and also adults as well, steering their future in the right direction, with the help of them. I mean, basically, doing the things we do. Just like to mention, Collective Conversations now, we just air every week at 12. Like I said, we'll have a new one on every week, but we have a lot of different shows that we come up with as well. I mean, so you never know what show might pop up on there. We got one more. We're looking at a cooking show that we're going to try to come out with. We just got to get everything together. We have the groundwork laid. We just got to, come up with it. It's probably going to be me cooking, but just one of those things. Real quick, we have like I said, we're having a shoe drive currently for the actual shoe giveaway, which is April 11th. It'll be here from 12 to 3 here at the Donkey office. Come by. We got spaghetti as well to give out as well. So, I mean, like I said, lightly worn new shoes. If you got any, call 304-894-6867, or just drop them off at 345 Prince Street, Suite B, right here on the end with the two orange doors. Just knock on one of them if you can't see us in there. But that's one of the things. Also, April 26th, we're having a TSK Pathways. We're having a workshop over at Mount Hope Community Center. That is 518 Main Street in Mount Hope. So we're having that. I mean, we just had a wonderful conversation with a gentleman, and I think he'll be speaking. We'll talk about it a little later, but I think it was a great thing to have him here so we can talk about that as well. So we have some things. Camp Elevate's coming up in June 15th, and it's going to last July 16th. I think we're going to take in like 25 kids. So I mean, get your slot reserved. Come on in. We'll start registration will be opening up in May. We open up in May, but I mean, we had a good time last year, and then hope to have a good time again. Like I said, it was a great experience. We've helped out with other camps as well. It was definitely good for us to do one as well. So that's definitely something that we have coming up. If anybody, like I said, wants to come on and speak, like I said, we're looking for, like I said, community leaders, people in the community that are doing good things in the community, come in and speak about their cause and things that they're doing. I mean, that's what we're here for. We continue, like I said, to bring you content. We got a couple big announcements to make here in the coming weeks. Hopefully we can make those, because we kind of changed over a little bit. I mean, we recently became a media company as well, and so it's a great thing as well, and have Collective Conversations Media. We'll talk a little bit about it later, and there's some other great definitely topics to talk about as well. So just want to thank you all for listening, and like I said, and watching, and we'll do it again next week by Lord's will. Thank you.